So I do have a story in this book, but if you want to hear that story, you're going to have to buy the book. I'm going to read two other short stories today. The first one is one that I actually wrote for a Halloween challenge last year, and I brought it into my local chapter of the League of Utah Writers. And for those of you who know Tim Keller, he was critiquing it, and this particular story has a character in it named Larry, who is kind of a wet blanket. And Tim Keller says, you know, this Larry is a lump. And I just love that so much that I actually titled that piece, Larry is a Lump. So here it is. Steph bolted upright. Her pillow fell off the bed. She clutched the neck of her nightgown. Larry, she whispered, eyes wide, straining to see in the darkness. She shook his shoulder. Larry! Gosh, what? Larry propped himself up on his elbow. I heard something. Huh? A noise, Larry. I think someone's in the house. They held still. What kind of noise? Larry finally asked. I don't know. It woke me up. Steph's shoulders tightened as she leaned closer to Larry. Go check it out. Larry sighed. It was probably a dream. No, listen. It woke me up. Even with her night eyes, Steph couldn't see much. She stared at a dark shadow against the wall. I'm tired. You sure it wasn't the cat? The cat? Yeah, you know. He plays all night. Steph licked her dry lips. I let him out. I don't think so, Larry said. Go to sleep. Steph retrieved her pillow, then wrapped her arms around herself, elbows close to her sides. She felt her heartbeat in her ears and at the back of her throat. She sat there, body tense, even as Larry's exhales eased into the soft sighs of sleep. I really think I let the cat out, Steph muttered. Actually, you didn't, said a voice at the foot of the bed. But don't worry, I did. This next story is called What's Been Keeping Me Awake, and incidentally, it was also inspired by my local chapter. We meet on the first and third Wednesdays of each month, and then after we have our writing meeting, we go to Village Inn, where they always have free pie night on Wednesdays, and it was free pie night that was the inspiration for this piece, and hopefully you'll see why as I'm reading it. We stand in my kitchen. The body lies between us. It's hot outside. The news said it might break 100. Maybe it's even hotter in here. Rivulets of sweat melt along Officer Fitzgerald's sideburns, down his neck. Well, I fold my arms over my apron. Fitzgerald hitches up his pants, fighting the gravity tugging at his gun belt. It's a mouse, he says. Technically, it's half a mouse. The front paws and head are there with black eyes open, but the back end opens to a smear of entrails like a dark dollop of cherry pie filling. I know it's a mouse, I tell him. How did it get here? Hell if I know, says Fitzgerald. Your cat, probably. So that's what he thinks. I suppose all the signs are here. Living alone, my gray hair and matronly looks. Not every old maid owns a cat. Sorry, he says, hitching his pants again, but you can't call the police over a dead mouse. I am a senior citizen who lives alone. My doors and windows were locked. Maybe it dragged itself in here. Maybe you stepped on it. Doesn't matter, it's not police business. He looks at me and I look back. Then he sighs and puts his hands on his hips. Tell you what, I'll clean it up. He grabs my broom and dustpan from the corner, sweeps up the mouse and dumps it in my garbage can. I think about the diseases that might spread. hantavirus, lymphocytic choriomeningitis, gosh, even the plague. The whole floor will have to be sanitized by hand. Thanks. Fitzgerald smiles, glad to help. He gives me his business card, though he is sure I won't need it. On my hands and knees scrubbing the floor, I imagine Officer Fitzgerald joking about the old spinster who called him out for a dead mouse. Heaven forbid it makes the police blotter. By the time I finish, the house reeks of bleach and the base of my neck throbs. The sun has set, but inside I'm roasting in a chemical haze. Still, I leave the window shut and locked as I climb into bed. When I awake the next morning, my sweaty nightgown is pasted to my skin. My mouth and throat are dry. I go to the kitchen for a glass of water, but halt before I reach the beige linoleum. There's something on the kitchen floor. It's a rusty color, like a smudge of burnt sienna from my paints, but I haven't painted in weeks. I kneel and look, my nose inches away. It's a finger swipe of something. Not paint. More blood? Had I missed a spot? I hold out my hands and inspect them for cuts or abrasions. I check my feet and legs and arms. Maybe I had stepped in something and tracked it in. I scrub the floor again. This time, I'm extra diligent to clean every spot, twice, despite my aching joints. A few days pass. I paint a little in the evenings, call my sister on Sunday. Then one morning, I discover a feather in the hallway, more in the living room, medium-sized and brownish, sparrow maybe. There is a sliver of flesh clinging to each of them like they've been torn out. In addition to the avian flu, birds can carry over 60 diseases. I vacuum all the carpeting in the house, even in the closets and under the bed. I spray the floors with disinfectant. A few more days pass, I don't paint. When I find a bloody tuft of reddish-brown fur in the living room, I consider calling Officer Fitzgerald. Instead, I call an exterminator. Ryan shines a flashlight into my cupboards, in the closets, along the baseboards. Everything's really clean. Meticulous even, he tells me. I'm a diligent housekeeper. I don't see any signs of anything. If you want, I could check the attic. But it's awfully hot today. I'll set some traps either way. That'd be fine, I tell him. What do you think it might be? Could be lots of different animals. It doesn't take a very big hole for them to get in. I don't know that we could ever find the point of entry. What kind of animals? Rat? Snake maybe? I shudder. I'll need more ammonia. Could even be a ferret. A ferret? Oh, sure. Over in Europe, they use them to keep the rats down. Where would a ferret come from? Where would it go? He shrugs. Might still be in the house, sleeping in the crawl spaces. The crawl spaces? Oh, yeah, says Ryan. You'd be surprised what you'd find in your crawl spaces. Rats, skunks, raccoons. I once found a homeless dude living in the crawl space of some nice old lady's house. Ryan sets some small traps and says he'll be back in a week to check on them. Of course, if it's something bigger, these traps won't work, so be on the lookout for scat. Whatever it is, it's probably coming out at night. Don't worry, you'll probably run into it at some point. Then you'll know. I can't sleep that night. My ears alert to every creak and tap. The heat adds to my insomnia, and when I do finally get to sleep, it's filled with tossing and turning. I awake more tired than when I went to bed. My nightmare continues in the kitchen. This time it's a squirrel. It lies in front of the fridge, depleted, looking very much like a toy with its stuffing removed. The abdomen is torn open, leaving a dark hole. There's no point in calling the exterminator. He'll be back soon, and the traps are already set. More animals appear throughout the week. Birds, more mice, chipmunks, then shockingly a cat. Not just dead, their bodies are ravaged. I clean and clean and clean. When the Carlisle boy throws the newspaper in front of my door, I jump. Between the extra cleaning, the insomnia, and the heat, every part of my body begs for relief. My eyelids droop, but when I try to nap, I feel like I'm not alone. The traps are still empty when Ryan comes back. I lead him to the cupboard box just outside my back door. From the moldering bodies in the box, the summer sun cooks up a putrid odor. I cover my nose and mouth with a handkerchief, but it doesn't help. Flies, those germ-carrying pests, circle the box. Ryan digs through the remains with a stick. Never seen anything like this before. See how they're torn open? His lips pressed together so hard they turn white. What is it? I ask. He looks at me. Something is bothering him. I think we're going to need some bigger traps. He tosses the stick into my yard. I'll come back start of next week and set him up. As I fill the mop bucket for what seems like the 100th time this week, I think about the look on the exterminator's face. My heart pounds. It's not an animal. It can't be. I retrieve Officer Fitzgerald's business card, but my finger pauses mid-dial. He won't believe me. I'm not even sure I do. No one will. I'll be the joke of the whole town. Well after midnight, I sit on my couch in the dark, waiting for the information I'll need to give the police, so that they'll believe me, so that they'll do something. I need to at least know how they're getting in, and after tonight, I'll know. I'll simply stay awake all night. A thin quilt drapes my shoulders, not for warmth, but to give me something to hold on to. My heart beats so hard my eyes pulse, but my fear battles my exhaustion. My focus wanders, my eyelids close in slow blinks. Still, I watch, I listen. Could be any moment now. I awake on the floor. My whole body feels bruised. I prop myself into sitting position, hold myself, and rock slightly. I cry. I'm just so tired. God, I'm tired. I sniff and wipe my eyes before retrieving my glasses. My hands shake as I peek into each room, swallow back my fear. But I don't find anything. No feathers, no bloody mice, no savage squirrels. Did I scare them off? Is it over? I pick up my knitting, then throw it down, open a book, slam it shut. I try, but I can't do anything. No gardening, cooking, painting, cleaning. I can only wonder what will happen tonight, and there's only one thing to do. So I get dressed, twirl my hair into a bun, and go out. 3 houses over, I knock on Howard's door. Well, isn't this a pleasant surprise, Howard says. Howard's been after me for years. I switched grocery stores to avoid him, stopped going to bingo. But I can't help it now. I need his help, or rather, I need his video camera. Back in my house, my eyes water at Howard's cologne. I try to memorize everything he touches so I can Clorox it later. Didn't expect to hear from you, he says, and edges closer. It's been a while. Just show me the camera, I say. I can't decide if it is really complicated or if Howard just makes it seem that way. At my age, wasted time feels like life being sucked away, and when Howard is around, I can feel myself getting closer to the grave. He explains the buttons and cords of the camera as though this might be the first time I'd ever seen one. REC means record, he says. Press this button to stop. You mean the one that says stop? Precisely. Just so you know, Howard, I tell him, Officer Fitzgerald has been here. Howard's face droops. You and him? A younger man? Oh, I could just slap him. No, Howard, he's working on a case for me. Oh, he chuckles and turns the camcorder in his hands. Look, I wish you'd let me help you with whatever is going on. I could stay the night. Oh, you would, I say. Is the camera ready? Should be, sniffs Howard. The battery is good for 10 or 12 hours, and the memory will hold, oh, I don't even know how much time. A lot. Good, I say. I grab his arm and shepherd him to the door. As he steps outside, he asks, really, can't you at least tell me what this is all about? Thank you, Howard. I slam the door. I hide the video camera in a potted plant in the living room, positioning it so most of the kitchen and living room are visible. I turn on a lamp, but it's dim. I hope it's bright enough for the video. I press record, and after checking to make sure the red light on the black is flashing, I retire for the night. Exhaustion and fear again accompany me to bed, but tonight there is a new sensation. Excitement, Relief? I don't know. But whatever it is, for the first time in what seems like weeks, I really sleep. The next morning, I run into the living room like a kid on Christmas Day. Something black and crumpled lies on the floor like torn construction paper. It's a bat with tattered wings and missing head. I've got you this time, I mutter, retrieving the camera from the plant. I've got you, I've got you. It stopped recording, must have filled the memory. I fiddle frantically to replay the video. Menus appear and vanish. I try to remember Howard's instructions. Then the video starts. I hold my breath and stare at the little view screen. I see the living room, then me walking away and turning off the lights. The room is barely illuminated. I fast forward, watching for any movements. Something changes. I press play and squint. My glasses slide down my nose. It's fingers. Human fingers pressing around the corner of the hallway wall. My muscles tightened. The intruder came not from the front door or the back door, but from somewhere down the hall, inside the house. I recall my feelings of being not alone, the noises I'd heard in the night, the crawl space, the attic. I run to the kitchen and snatch my car keys from the hook. Racing outside, I slip on the dewy grass. With mud on my legs and elbows, I right myself and dive into my car. I can't catch my breath. The car drops off the curb as I back out. I must speak with Officer Fitzgerald, I shout to the police dispatcher behind the glass window at the station. Slow down, ma'am, she says. Are you hurt? Officer Fitzgerald! As if by providence, Fitzgerald walks in behind her. Tommy Fitzgerald! It's okay, says Fitzgerald to the dispatcher. I know her. He buzzes me in. Someone's trying to kill me, I gasp. It's okay now, Fitzgerald says. Tell me what's going on. I don't need to tell you, I stammer. I have evidence. I wave the recorder at him. He takes the camera and leads me to a room with a television. He has me sit at a table while he hooks up the camera. Let's see what's going on, he says as he presses the play button. The video starts just where I'd stopped it, with a hand on the corner of the wall. Fitzgerald leans closer, his brows knitting. Then a person appears in a poorly lit streak of grayness and bolts from the hallway and out the back door. See? I point. Someone was in my house. The video is still again. Fitzgerald fast forwards. The back door opens. A figure stalks in. The video is too dark to see much. A rough silhouette, a woman, wretched looking and hunched. She moves with a stealthy and skittish gait. There's something in her hands. She squats in the kitchen, almost out of the frame. Her head thrashes about and something flaps into the air. It's the bat. It tries to fly, but it doesn't go far. It flops onto the living room carpet and struggles pathetically. The woman comes creeping along the floor, reaches out and plucks the bat up. Bile rises in my throat as I realize she's eating it. I want to look away, but I can't. I stare wide-eyed at the screen. How dare this woman, this creature, in my home? She turns, looks right at the camera, stands, but not quite erect, more animal than human. The lamp begins to illuminate her face as she draws near. She sneers, teeth black with blood, her eyes wide and dilated, nostrils flare. I press a shaking hand over my mouth. She takes another step forward and her face is clear. I lean away, my eyes water, my pulse thunders. I force myself to look, to stare her in the eyes. And suddenly, I feel it. The thrill, the chase, the hunger. My mouth waters for the sweet metallic taste. I want to feel real earth beneath my feet, to run fast, be free. I want to feel alive, like she does. The woman on the tape smiles. She reaches out and turns off the camera. The screen goes static. Fitzgerald stands up. He walks to the television and turns it off. Then he turns to me. I guess, he says slowly, that you've been sleepwalking.